Hello, my friends on YouTube. Today is Sunday, the 30th of June 2024. Half of the year is already gone. Okay, today, today's subject, it's not for young people. Okay, wife swapping in Islam. What is wife swapping? Some people, I really don't know how this work, and I'm not interested to know. However, I'm aware that there are people, when they are kind of like a couple, man and woman, are tired of one another, they do strange stuff. Some people are strange. We have to accept that in life. Some people are very strange. So what they do is they agree to have relationship with other people. That means a husband and wife go to their friend who is another husband and wife, and they agree that this man will take the wife of the other man, and the wife of this man takes the husband of the other man, and they spend one night together, or 1 week, or 1 month, what have you. This is not just in the Western world or the Eastern world. This is also in Muslim countries. Okay? And there are many cases. Check, Google it. It is happening. And I'm not saying that because I want to make you feel bad or anything like that, but there are strange people, there are crazy people, there are people who are doing all kind of things. That's their business. So let's say that in the Islamic tradition, there is something that it's always Muslim try to bring this up, that Islam gave women their rights and celebrated women and helped women to achieve their position, their high status position in society. And this is nonsense. I mean, honestly, the woman who used to give Muhammad his salary, the founder of Islam, it was a woman whom he later married. But before that, she was the one who was feeding him practically. So the idea that Islam elevated the standard of woman or the position of a woman, it's nonsense. Because the founder of this faith, if you want to call it faith or whatever, he depended on a woman to feed him. A few years ago, there was a Muslim clerk living in Australia, and he was preaching, and he started to say that women must cover. I'm not saying women should walk naked, okay? But there is a standard of modesty that covering everything, there's something wrong with you. And if you are actually exposing everything, something wrong with you. And practically, both have the same problem, but they approach it in a different way. Both want the attention of a man, but they approach the problem in a different way. One woman exposes her skin and her body and shows everything, so a man can say, wow, she's beautiful, I want her. And the other one covers completely for the same object or objective, which is a man would say, wow, she is really modest, I want her. Okay? Both of them are seeking the attention of man. And this Muslim clerk in Australia came up because some Muslim women started to take that headscarf off, or started to become a little bit liberated from this nonsense. So to intimidate them and to get them to submit, to subjugate them, he likened the woman to the meat, to the flesh. Like if you go to a butcher shop and you see meat, and he likened men, Muslim men, that is, to flies. So if a woman is uncovered, is like a piece of meat in the butcher shop that it is hanging in the open, flies will gather on it. So he likened men. I'm sorry, but even his understanding of man is very low. Maybe because he's comparing man to this idiot who came 1400 years ago, and whenever he saw a woman, he gets excited and he wants to get going. Not all men are like that. So of course he wanted to how do you say that? He wanted to keep control over men and women. These people, they make their career, their money from this nonsense. Okay, so they need to keep it going. And when they see that somebody is challenging that, they come up in arm, because they will lose their livelihood, and they are making quite a bit of money. Okay, no one wants to lose his job or his career or his income. No one. So it's better to keep people under their control one way or another than let them go. You let them go, then how am I supposed to eat? We can obviously gather that this clerk and many other, if not all, like him, they want to control the people, and it doesn't matter how. So he likened men to flies, and he likened women to piece of meat. And this practically the position of a woman in this nonsense that came to us 1400 years ago. She is a piece of meat to the man, to her husband. And what I mean by a piece of meat is she has to, even though if she's not in the mood or tired, the moment he gets home, if he says, I need to have sexual intercourse, she has to get herself, she has to undress and get him going. And even if she's sick to her stomach, it doesn't matter. She has to obey Allah, because Allah told her, if you don't do that, the angels will keep cursing you all night. You have to let him release himself. Otherwise, you will be a sinner. The angels will curse you all night. So this is the honor that Islam gave to a woman. He honored woman this way by likening her to a piece of meat, and by the man using her for his sexual satisfaction as a piece of meat. I come and use my warm meat to get going so I can empty myself. Like he's going to a toilet. I'm sorry to say that, but anyway. So that is the understanding of the Muslim clerk of the position of man and woman. So, as I said, some people like to swap wife. Why I mentioned that in the beginning? Because there is hadith, and I'm going to put it in the description box. And it says that when the Prophet of Allah migrated from Mecca to Medina, well, I mean, that step I understand, and I would say there is nothing wrong with it. Let's say, for example, at this time in Israel as well as in Gaza, there is trouble for two types of people. Let's say an Israeli man lives in an area near the bombing. So he was asked to move because probably the rockets coming from Hamas or from uh, this guy Hezbollah may affect him and get him killed. So they tell him, okay, you have to move to this other town. And when he moved to the other town, let's say a Jewish rabbi will say, okay, we need a volunteer to take this family. And another Jewish man say, okay, I have, you know what, I have my basement empty. Come and live there with your wife and children. And don't worry about the food, don't worry about anything, we'll take care of it. We'll say thank you very much. And the same thing, let's say a Palestinian family living in Gaza, let's say gets invited by an Egyptian family living in Cairo, Alexandria, or wherever, and invite this family and say, okay, you can use this part of our house and you can eat, you can, thank you very much. All that is fine. So when the Muslim migrated from Mecca to Medina, the founder of Islam matched families together. And that's all fine. However, one of these families or one of these people was, so one of these people, his name was Abdul Rahman bin Auf, a man coming from Mecca, migrated to Medina, and the founder of Islam matched him with another family. This man who came from Mecca, originally he is a businessman and he is one of the wealthiest people that joined Islam back then, and probably he was a friend of Khadija, the first wife of the founder of Islam. He followed the founder, and the founder, he had 10 people in his head, said these are to enter heaven. He didn't guarantee heaven to himself, but he guaranteed heaven to these people. Anyway, that's beside the point. That is, leave it for another subject. So this man, Abdul Rahman bin Auf from Mecca, was matched with another man from the people in Medina, and that other man, his name was Sa'd bin Rabi'ah. And both men are quite wealthy. The thing here is, there's nothing wrong with being wealthy. There's nothing wrong with a family opens its door for another family at distress. The problem here is what happened later. The man from Medina, his name is Sa'd bin Rabi'ah, suggested to the man coming from Mecca. He told him, I have 2 orchards, 2 homes, and 2 wives, wife in each home. So I want you to go and look on each orchard, each home, and each wife. Choose for yourself whatever you want. Get yourself, take 1 home. You see, if you offer 1 home and 1 orchard, I'd say this is wonderful. Wonderful. This is really an altruistic action by a good person. But to offer your wife, one of your wives, okay, I understand you have 2 wives. However, to have 2 wives is not like, for example, if I'm a Muslim and I am married 4 women. I liked something about the first wife, the second wife, the third wife, and the 4th wife. And that's why I married them. If I marry 4, and I'm not willing to share any of them with anyone, so my concern here is really It's not the sharing of the property. It's not the sharing of the money or offering food and shelter. Any decent human being will do that, especially if I have the means to shelter another family. I'm fine with that. But what kind, you're talking about dignity, honor, Islam honored the woman and elevated the position of the woman. What kind of elevation is that? What kind of a man? I shouldn't even call him a man would do that. And you are telling me I have to listen to a Muslim clerk from Australia and from many other Muslim countries. They actually believe the same thing. And when you read that story, I'm going to put it in the description box. It is despicable. And you get, when something so despicable like that, you get Muslim clerk left and right coming on YouTube trying to justify this. So these two people, according to the founder of Islam, are both of them are of the 10 whom guaranteed that they will go to heaven. No question, these people die, they are in heaven. And the thing here, actually, when you read carefully between the lines, these people were very, very wealthy, and they gave a lot of money to pay for the army, to pay for the food, to encourage. They were like the financial department for the founder of this nonsense. So to encourage them to keep paying, you will go to heaven. And this is basically all Muslim clerks now do. They promise people heaven. So you promise me heaven after I die. I tell you what, all these idiots who go and volunteer to be a suicide bombers, why don't you live here on earth, enjoy your life. Enjoy life. Instead of somebody is brainwashing you to go and put a bomb and go and do suicide act and get yourself killed. Promised heaven. And this guy, this guy was very smart. The founder of this nonsense, he was very smart. And I remember one guy told me a saying. He said, if you are walking and tired and aching, and you find a horse or a mule, and if you don't ride, and this mule doesn't have an owner, a mule just walking came next to you, if you don't ride this mule or horse, you are stupid. And basically, the founder of this nonsense, when he came, he found some dumb people. He can tell them whatever he wants. And in my opinion, honestly, I really think this guy was not believing in anything he says. I really don't. I don't think he believed in anything he says, but it brought result to him. It brought people to honor him. It brought money. It brought women. Why not? Okay, you're stupid. Let me use you. Let me use you. And until today, this is going on. However, I must admit that with the advent of the internet and all that's happening on the internet today, it's not like what it was 20 years ago. I would say, yeah, about 20 years ago, before YouTube and all that, and people exposing that stuff. They are really in disarray. They know that their days are numbered, and that's why they are trying to control the damage that it is happening, control the situation. That's why they are coming out. You can Google it, Google the story. I'm going to put it in the description box. Google it in English, and you will see many Muslim clerks speaking in English trying to justify this nonsense. They are desperate. They are desperate. And it's time to call for desperation. Thank you very much. We hope to hear from you.